In both the novels and the films, James Bond had to fight many battles. Not merely villains, but also psychological ones that would send any normal human being over the edge at some point. Bond's life is littered with loss and sacrifice. The death of his parents in a climbing accident, his wife killed by his arch-enemy, the suicide of Vesper Lind, and ultimately a professional career characterized by violence, torture, near-death experiences, revenge, and killing. In The World Is Not Enough, Elektra King asks Bond a fundamental question, and his reply is a life lesson that easily gets overlooked.
What do you do to survive?
I take pleasure in great beauty.
And it is true. Bond's life is a life of luxury and splendor. Exotic locations, gorgeous women, fast cars, the most luxurious hotels and casinos, classic drinks and superb food. All of these things are beauty to him. He's living a life many of us would dream of. But the dark side is that every martini, every taste of caviar or amorous escapade could be his last. Take pleasure in great beauty. It was this hedonistic quote that changed my mental attitude a long time ago. Every one of us has had experiences that impacted our mental health, whether it is the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, a disability or terminal illness. The possibilities for your mental health to suffer are almost limitless. I, for example, had an alcoholic and violent father. My mother died of cancer when I was 15. I've had a variety of health issues over the years and recently had to come to terms with the sudden end of a 3-year relationship with a woman I still deeply admire. Then, deep down in the back of our minds, there is the inconvenient fact that we all will die in the end. In his novel Live and Let Die, Ian Fleming made his hero afraid of flying on a commercial airline, bound for the Caribbean during a storm. James Bond, the suave and cool protagonist who faces violent confrontations with his enemies day in, day out, realizes on that plane that his fate is out of his hands. And Fleming lets his hero think one of the most profound thoughts. There's nothing to do about it. You start to die the moment you are born. While death is something most of us don't think about often, we do so about our daily battles with life. But how can Bond's quote help to shift your mental attitude towards healing from whatever it is you're going through? The answer lies in your very own definition of the beauty you yourself take pleasure in. Let's say you had a rough day at work. Not a big deal, I have them too. What helps me to relax, reflect and understand is taking the time to sit myself down with a good glass of red wine, maybe a plate of fine cheese and a soothing jazz record. All of these I regard as beautiful things. Eventually, circumstances become clearer and you are reminded that there are basically just 2 variables in life: the things you can control and those you can't. The death of my mother was out of my control. So was my recent breakup, as it was not based on behavioral issues but on an age difference. Still, both events impacted my mental health significantly, with the latter still being processed. In the past year, my friends advised me to care for myself, spoil myself from time to time. When you're living alone, this is actually very important. And once again, I was reminded of that quote from The World Is Not Enough. I took pleasure in great beauty. I traveled to Prague and dined in 5-star restaurants and never said no when champagne was offered. Every evening I went to the same stylish bar and almost tasted the entire cocktail menu. But I also watched the sun set over Prague Castle after a dramatic storm. Just me and my thoughts on a park bench, completely free of charge. Back home, I took up gardening on my balcony and surrounded it with flowers, one more beautiful than the next. I installed indirect lighting and was eager for the sun to set. Sitting outside every evening during the summer, enjoying good wine and a fine meal, felt like being in a fancy hotel. But I had just integrated this right into my daily routine. My work with the horses is also a thing of beauty, and it helps me to unwind from working 3 jobs, often 11 hours in a day. Or I engage in conversations with friends from the Bond community. Being able to connect to the whole world and see what many content creators put out there, thanks to the internet, is also a thing of beauty. my own contributions included. I love making these videos. It's always a beautiful process. So, whether you collect Bond memorabilia, enjoy wearing nice clothes like Bond, drive a fast car, or dip your feet in the sand on some Caribbean island while watching the sun go down, your definition of beauty is the key to treat yourself well, to find your happy place and refocus your mental attitude towards life and all its challenges. In our fast-paced world of today, I feel this needs to be said.